if you're integrating with different systems, no matter what that type of project is or the industry, the commonality is always data, and kind of like good data at source. It kind of really affects the results. Now, I've also been part of projects where they haven't been able to sort it at source. They've had to use the technology to almost manipulate that data to create the format that they need to feed those systems. And needless to say that those projects have become big hairy monsters because of that.
Mm.
And it was always really interesting for me, because I sort of thought, well, why aren't we sorting it out at source? What's so complicated? And I think sometimes that's to do with scale as well. You start off in one place and suddenly you realize you need other things, and there isn't a great deal of oversight in terms of how do all those pieces plug together. Which is why I love like our products, like Ingenuity. I know Ingenuity can pull all of those things, but again, the data that it assembles has to be as good as its source, so the data that's going in. So do you think that's a people thing, like in terms of the source? Or, I mean, have you got any thoughts of kind of like how people can, are there any sort of best practices or anything that we can think of that we can sort of think at that stage? Because obviously that then feeds into our systems, for example.
I think that the effort that people put into putting quality into a system is related to what they are expecting to use it for. So when people are the consumers of their own data, they often won't care too much about its accuracy, say, because they know, oh, well, if I'm looking at this, all right, we misnamed it, or the units are wrong. We've had that before. The units are on an offshore control system said tons, I think, but they knew it was meters cubed, and so they were fine with it. But when that information gets passed up the organization and out of their control, if they know that that information is going to appear on a dashboard that they're going to be assessed on, or they're somehow, what goes into that system comes back to them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when we delivered our barrier health system, suddenly management had visibility of the status of a lot of equipment at the low level, and it got sorted out so quickly, because suddenly poor quality information was driving a bad status at the top, and the management were then concerned because it looked like they had risks related to their equipment. So when that got fed back down to the front line, there was a very big incentive for them to sort out the quality of that data, because someone else could see it and it was directly impacting them.
Yeah.
So having systems that drive those incentives, and I think that's like a de facto benefit. That's a de facto benefit of connecting systems up and having it more visible, is that you start to sort out these problems, because when other people need it and they find out it's bad quality, they will push back and say, well, how can we clean this up? Can you put it in a better way? Do we need to make it easier for you to input? And that's an important point as well, that you can't just hit people with a bigger stick. You have to make their life better.
Yeah.
If they're putting data in a bad way, people want to do a good job normally. So if things aren't being done well, it might be because it's just taking too long and
Yeah.
they need to do something quickly. Or so if you can make it better for them, if you can make it easier to put in quality, then you're more likely to get out the other end.